Hey guys, it's Charlene. Thanks for joining me here on the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. Today we're going to make this adorable pop-up card using some of the new products from Lawn Fawn. So you can see here I am using the platform pop-up die. This was previously released from Lawn Fawn, but I'm going to use that for my base. So I've cut out two of the large pieces in gray cardstock, and then I've also cut out three of the T-shaped pieces from the same colored cardstock. You can see I am going around and folding all of the score lines, and then I'm using my bone folder to reinforce the fold. You really want to make sure that those are folded well all throughout this. Anytime I am folding a score line or anytime I am adding double-sided tape, I'm making sure that it is applied really well. So here I'm trimming off the bottom of the third T, and I'm going to set that aside to use later. Now I can apply some double-sided tape to the bottom of the other T's, as well as to the top fold of the two large gray pieces. So you can see there I've got the tape applied to the main fold of the large piece as well as the fold on the T, and I'm placing it through so that the double-sided tape is facing down, and you want to make sure that T is pulled all the way through the little slot on that flap there before you fold it over and adhere the tape onto the large piece. These are the little elements that are going to help the card stay popped up, and they're also what you're going to attach your little pieces to. So once I've got the T attached, now I'm folding over that whole piece, and I'm going to adhere that main flap of the large gray piece. So now you can see I've got one half of my platform ready. I repeat the whole process with the other side. It's exactly the same. And now I'm adding double-sided tape to the little end flaps of the two large pieces. Now I'm going to bring back in that T where I cut off the bottom, and I'm going to apply double-sided tape just along the middle of the bottom portion of the T. I'm not going to extend the tape up onto the top part of the T though. You want to keep it below that part. And now I'm going to flatten down one of my platforms, and I'm going to place that T so that the top portion goes right above that score right there, the fold there, and it's going to be in the middle. So it matches in terms of centered with the other T's. Now I've added two strips of double-sided tape to the other half of the platform. I'm going to remove those in order to attach the two sides together. But first I want to attach one of the flaps. So I'm going to butt the two pieces up next to each other. Make sure that that little ridge detail along the top kind of matches. And then flip over the end flap and make sure it adheres really well. Now I can remove the release tape from those two other pieces of tape that I added and flip the entire thing in half, making sure to line up the two bottom portions right there. And then, of course, with the bone folder, just making sure everything is adhered down really well. Now I can do the other end flap, same process. I'm just going to remove the release tape, tuck it under, and make sure it lines up. Now when you push up from the bottom, you get this nice little platform. I'm coming in here with some Hickory Smoke Distress ink, and I'm really going to grunge this up because I'm doing somewhat of a Halloween style card. So I'm going to go around all of the edges, and I'm going to use that Hickory Smoke just to make it a little bit darker all the way around. Now I'm coming in here with the Spooky Gate from Lawn Fawn. This is new. I've cut out the gate portion in black cardstock, and I've cut out the columns in gray cardstock. Again, for the gray, I'm going to come back in with that Hickory Smoke, and I'm going to go all the way around the edges of the columns, as well as take some of the Hickory Smoke up and over onto the bricks, just to define those a little bit more. I want this to look spooky and like it's an old, creepy gate that you would pass by in a cemetery or something like that. So I'm going to put everything together using some liquid adhesive. You can use double-sided tape or liquid adhesive throughout this card, whatever works better for you. I find personally that putting together the platform works really well with double-sided tape, whereas I like to add my little elements with liquid adhesive because then I have a little bit of wiggle room in order to decide where I want to place those. So I'm placing one half of the gate here on the right hand side and one half on the left hand side of the front T. So that way when the card's popped up, you're going to see that gate first thing. I want this card to have a spooky nighttime sky, and I'm going to be using the platform pop-up add-on die here. I'm going to use the outer piece, none of the detail pieces, and I'm going to start with a piece of black cardstock, and I'm going to create a nighttime sky. To ensure that the colors show up on the black cardstock, I'm using pigment ink and I'm using Distress Oxides. The white pigment ink that I'm using is the Brilliant White from Honeybee Stamps. And then for my Distress Oxides, I'm going to be using some Villainous Potion as well as some Prize Ribbon. I did speed this up, but I wanted you guys to see the whole process for how I created the sky. So you saw that I came in with the white pigment ink first, and I created kind of some messy clouds here and there. Once I had about 4 on there, it doesn't really matter how many, you just want them to be kind of randomly dispersed. I then came in with the purple and I added spots of purple here and there around the white clouds. I repeated that same process with the prize ribbon with the blue, and I put it in the spots that I had not put the purple. And then I just went back and forth working my way with the colors until I had a really nice layer of color on the background. Then I came in with some water with some pearl shimmer in it, and I went ahead and just tapped that with a little sprayer bottle. I tapped the end there to get a few droplets across the background. Once that dried, it gave that nice shimmery look to the sky. And then I was able to cut it out with that platform pop-up add-on. In hindsight, I wish I had waited to adhere this to my card until after I had all of my other little elements on the card, but it wasn't too bad. So I'm coming in with some 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape here. Before I was using 1/4 inch, but for this you want some really thin tape. And then I'm going to remove just a portion of the release tape and I'm going to fold it over. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my background, and you're going to put it right along the back of the platform. And this is why I didn't remove all of the release tape, was because I wanted to be able to remove a little bit at a time as I went around and made sure that that background was matching with the edges of that bottom platform. So once I got one piece done, one little panel done, then I would remove the next piece of release tape and work that one until I had it exactly where I wanted it, and then I repeated it with the third portion of that add-on. Doesn't that look cool? I love how this looks. I'm going to go ahead and cut out a few pieces of the grass. Now this is a die that comes with the platform pop-up die. And I'm also going to come in with some Forest Moss Distress ink, and I'm just going to grunge up the edges of that grass. Again, I want this to be nighttime, kind of spooky, so I wanted there to be some definition to the grass as well. So you see here I have 2 pieces. I do later cut out a third piece, and I'll show you that as I get there. So I've adhered one of the pieces of grass along the third farthest T piece that pops up in the back, and then I'm going to adhere the other piece of grass to the middle T piece. Next, we're going to play with the Wild Wolves stamps and dies. These are new as well. And I'm going to stamp out the moon, that cute little wolf, as well as that little rock outcropping. And I'm going to color these in some neutral and cool grays. I'm going to color the wolf as well as the moon in the neutral grays because I didn't want them to be colored the same color as the rock. So the rock little outcropping there, I'm going to color that in cool grays. For the wolf, I used some N6, N4, N2, and then for his little mouth and his ears, I used some R20 and R00, some nice little pinks there. And then for the moon, I'm going to use N4, N2, and N0. So I'm going to make the moon so that it's a little bit lighter than the wolf. I wanted the wolf to be darker. I wanted the moon to kind of appear like it would in the night sky, so it looks a little bit lit up. So that darkness I'm mostly putting into the craters, and I'm actually doing the reverse of what I would normally do. Normally I would put my darkest color around the edge, but for the crater I'm putting the darkest color in the center and then working up and out, so that way it gives you the illusion of the center of those spots being deeper than the outer edges. For the rock outcropping, I've got some C3, C5, and C7, and you can see there the difference between the wolf and the moon and then the rocks. The rocks definitely have a cooler, more silvery color to them. So I cut everything out with the corresponding dies, and now I'm going to glue the wolf right along the top of the rock here, and this is going to get glued right behind the grass in the center portion of the platform. So you can see now why I chose to put the spooky gate in the front. That was largely because I knew that my little wolf was going to be high enough up that the gate didn't block him very much at all. For my moon, I added a few double-sided foam squares on the back because I wanted that to pop out from the background. And now you can see the other piece of grass I was talking about. I decided I wanted one in the front, but I didn't want it to block a lot of the gate. So I did the ink blending process with it, but then I trimmed off about 1/4 of an inch along the bottom. And now I'm going to come in and glue it right along the bottom portion of the gate and the columns in front. So that way it's not covering up very much, but we're still getting the look of some of that grass in the front. So you can see this is really starting to come together. Off camera, I decided to go ahead and stamp and color a few of the stars that come with the set as well. I used some Y06, very simple, just to color these in, and then I glued them here and there along that background piece. So all that's left at this point is our sentiment. I'm actually going to use a sentiment from the Yappy birthday stamps. Now there are sentiments that would work in the Wild Wolves, but I really wanted to use the Have a Howlin' Good Birthday, and you can see I did some selective masking with my sentiments here. There's portions that I did not ink up. So just remember, you can make your own sentiments. You don't have to necessarily use the sentiments in a stamp set exactly how they are in the stamp. You can mask off certain areas, put your own words together. It creates a lot of possibilities. So I've glued that front panel with my sentiment to the front of the platform, and then I am gluing a blank one on the back of the platform. Now that's because I'm going to use that to sign my name and, you know, maybe a little XOXO. Not a huge spot to write a greeting, but there is our finished card. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you picked up some tips and tricks. please be sure to like and subscribe, as well as hit the notification bell, so that way you will know about future tutorials here on the Scrapbook Pal YouTube channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day.